Hello there and welcome to Changing Scripts. My name is Stephanie and I am your guide to this masterful experience of learning the Chinese language. Masterful, I'm totally kidding, which is why I started laughing. I am making this up as I go. In short, I was a language teacher for over a decade, teaching the English language in varying forms. And in trying to learn a language myself, first with Spanish, now with Chinese, I became very frustrated with how languages were taught. So I'm specifically trying different kind of methodologies and different kinds of apps and different kinds of ways of doing this that are very different than what I may have done myself in a classroom setting. Well, it's a different experience, isn't it? But let me back up. What is this channel doing? What I am doing. What am I doing? I am learning Chinese. I have tried to learn Chinese 3 times in my life. One is when I moved to Taiwan in 2003 for a year to teach English. That failed miserably. 2 was when I lived in Nanjing, China about 6 years ago, when I was also teaching English, but a very different subset of that. I was teaching academic English to awesome teenagers that were about to go study in the US. 3 is now, as you may guess. So the second time I wasn't terribly motivated. There were a lot of other personal things that were going on and health things that were going on, and blah, it just didn't happen. So I shouldn't even count that as a time, but I'm counting it because I was in a Chinese language environment. This time is a lot different. I'm in Shanghai, China right now, in my apartment with the funky red door that you'll see in a lot of my videos. Our apartment is very white, so I'm trying to get something other than that pastiness in the videos, just so you don't go a little bit crazy, because it is a visual medium that we're doing this on, right? Yes, it is. That's intentional, because the Chinese language, the thing that's drawing me to it this time is the crazy look of it that used to drive me crazy and used to leave me a deer in headlights. So I want to share, as I'm learning and going through the challenges of dealing with the characters, I want to show you what I'm dealing with, thus a video. I'm normally a writing person. I'm an audible person. Clearly, speaking is not my first skill. But because this is such a visual experience for me, I wanted to put it in a visual medium, and thus YouTube. Right, so those are the 3 times that I tried to learn Chinese. This is the 3rd time. I'm actually doing this intro video about 6 weeks into the process because I wanted to get a momentum going, I wanted to get a structure going, and I wanted to kind of know what would be happening with the videos before I did an intro video to tell you about things that might change. At this point, it doesn't look like a lot's going to change. So here you go. Like I said, I used to language teach. I may or may not be done with that whole section of my life. I'm not sure. I'm not teaching right now, but I have taught in a few different countries, mostly in Asia, for language, as far as English goes, general English, academic English, business English, conversational English, test prep for TOEFL, IELTS, TOEIC, you name it. I was in the industry for over a decade in a variety of countries, mostly in Northeast Asia, Southeast Asia, that kind of thing. And then I also did my master's degree in the US, where I also taught first-year writing to local students as well as international students. And then I also did part of a PhD program in Iowa State University, and also taught there, again, first-year writing, and that's all she wrote. So that's my teaching experience. I'm telling you this because a lot of that, and the master's degree was in teaching English as a second language. So I come to this experience of trying to learn Chinese again with a lot of information about languages and about learning languages. But I'm finding that, and I have found over the years, that a lot of the information that exists about how people learn languages, especially as adults, isn't exactly what happens. So in a way, I'm doing this to motivate myself because once a week, I'm going to produce 2 videos for you and for me. 1 is an update video at the beginning of the week to report on the previous week, and 2 is a Characters in the Wild video where I take my camera usually outside into wherever I am for wherever I am in China at that point, whether I'm home in Shanghai or traveling, which I do a lot for work, and I try to take you on a walkabout of that place and look for characters that I might know. I'll guess on what they are, and I hope a few months down the road I'll return to those videos and be able to understand those characters more at that point. So those are the two kinds of videos I'm doing, and the third motivation in all of this is I want to document the process. If I do this channel for 6 months, 9 months, a year, and I go back, and watch all of those videos, or somebody else does, which is a much better scenario, what was the process? How did I learn the language? I'm still interested in language learning, but I'm much more interested in it on a, how does it happen, not theoretically, not in a controlled environment, but in out in the wild, which I keep saying over and over. How does language learning happen when you're not in a classroom, when you're not in a controlled test environment or research environment? How does it really happen? And for me, I tried to tutor and that didn't work how I wanted it to. It's hard as a teacher to then try to be a student and have somebody not want to listen to your goals. Because one of the first things I tried to do as a teacher is listen to what my students want and tried to kind of do as much as I could to reach their goals as well as the class as a whole goals and the school's goals, and everybody got happy. Ha. Anyway, because it's almost an impossible scenario to please everybody, right? Okay, so I also want to track my learning to see how it's done. I keep trying to learn languages and not fully succeeding. I haven't really lost a lot of the Spanish I learned, because when I learned it I've learned it over a few different times, most of which has been overseas in a variety of different countries where it's the language. So it kind of stuck because there was a lot of context. The last time I learned it, I went farther into my verb tenses, which was pretty exciting, in a gamified way with Duolingo, which I love, but they do not have a Chinese version yet. So I can't do that, and nor do I want to. I wanted to explore some other methods as well. So I kind of want to blow the roof off of language teaching, language learning, and do an investigation on myself, I suppose you could say. Part of why I want to do this also is I want to read more than anything else. And a lot of classes and a lot of tutors want to start with pronunciation and with speaking and with survival phrases. I've lived in Asia for a while, and I can point, I have translation apps, I can get around and do what I need to do. That's not what I want to do with the language. And it's not an insult to Chinese people. I like where we are. I really love Shanghai. I really want to learn more about the culture here eventually. But mostly I want to keep up to date with what's happening around me. I'm basically sick of being illiterate where I live, if that makes any sense. I want to be able to read signs and read newspapers online or physical ones. That would be so cool, to be able to understand what's going on around me every day. That is my main goal. There are also some websites, either for shopping, because they have a big online shopping presence here in China, or in WeChat, which is their social media app that does 1,000,000 times more than anything we have back in the States, to all kinds of things that I want to read that the characters are now motivating me. They used to stop me from doing things because I used to get really frustrated and just not do stuff. Well, I did stuff and I mumbled through stuff and I kind of guessed what things were, either at restaurants or when I was in area exploring or hiking or whatever, but now I actually want to know. I want to know. I'm curious. Shanghai's great, by the way. You should come here. Anyway, that's not my point. My point is that I want to read more than anything else, and part of me will need to write, but it's more of tracing. And I'll show this as the videos go on. Even though I'm holding a pencil right now because I made notes about what to say during this intro video, I don't see myself as actually writing the characters in their free form, but I do envision typing them and tracing them on digital apps, and then picking a character from the drop-down menus that will ensue. And you'll see that soon enough. I'm going to start exploring those pretty soon in my language learning, because that's just such a cool way to communicate, is to use those kinds of systems. My other goal, and the thing that kind of started this but then has taken a back burner due to technical skills that I need to learn, is I want to create some mobile apps. I did some computer programming for school, and by school I mean a PhD program, not like elementary school. Obviously, I wasn't just in elementary school. Wow. Anyway, let's clarify the clear items in the something video. Anyway, the point is that I did some programming with Python and SQL and HTML, and I'm sure some things I'm probably forgetting. And I got websites working, and I had things moving from databases, from websites to databases and back, and all kinds of things, and it was really, really cool. But my heart really lies in mobile apps. And so I want to take the functional things that I want to do in Shanghai, I want to turn them into apps to help other expats living here to be able to learn the language they need quicker and in a less stressed out way, and in a more breakdown kind of way. Because I do find that a lot of places or a lot of websites that you go to, they'll just throw giant bits of vocabulary at you. And with coming from a different script like this, thus the name changing script, coming from a different script like English, it's super overwhelming and you have nothing to hang your hat on. So I want to make some apps that help people get the functional language they need, either for taking the train or knowing what street signs say, or being able to say and read certain towns and cities once you get out of the cities and go exploring in China, and being able to do those basic things without an app. Being an autonomous, functional person within that task that you want to do after having learned that subset of the language. That's a goal of mine. I really want to make those, but I felt like I needed to backtrack a million steps to learn the language enough to know how the building blocks to do that. And again, since most people focus on the speaking side of it, that's not as needed. Lots of people are working on how to learn to speak Chinese, the survival language that you need for that, and I feel like that there's so much out there for that, and I don't really feel like I need to redo all of that. That exists. But I do feel like these specific niche-y kind of apps could still have a place. You can have a translation app. There are tons of them. Some of them work really well right now. The Google one, you can literally hold over something, like if you're in the grocery store, you can hold over it and it translates it right there into English on the phone so you can read it. I mean, that stuff is really cool. But what I want to do is create apps that help you learn so that you can put your phone down, or if your phone battery runs out, which is much more likely, that you can function and do what you need to do within certain specific functional contexts. So that's kind of my goal for that. So I selfishly want to read and know what's going on around me, and I want to make these apps to help people do things they want to do as well. That's a lofty goal. My current work contract is over sometime in January of 2018. So I've got about 6 months to get as far as I can. We may or may not renew. We may do different jobs. I don't know. Things seem to change very, very quickly here. So I do not pretend to know what's going to happen in the next 6 months. So anything could happen. So I may or may not be here after that point, but I feel like with the experience that I've had in the past 6 weeks trying to get a learning plan down, I feel like I'm on a path now where I can get up to, for the HSK Chinese language levels, I feel like I can get up to at least level 3 or 4 within that 6 months. I'd say I'm about halfway through being very comfortable with HSK1, if not more. I was throwing in some basic radicals in the first few weeks in addition to HSK1, so I'm really unsure exactly where I am in that, and that's something I need to do soon. But so I feel like I'm almost halfway done with that, and then there's different characters I'm learning in the wild that are in the other levels, so that'll transfer over when I hit that. So I feel pretty good that within the next 6 months I can get up to HSK level 3 and 4 pretty confidently, reading-wise. Again, that's my main focus. I'm stalling because I think I'm done with this intro video. I'm creating this so that at the beginning of my update videos, I no longer have to reiterate everything. There will be changes to the goals, of course, and I'll say them as they come, and I'm eventually going to have a very basic website that outlines this stuff, I think. But right now, I just want to have an intro video to welcome you to Changing Scripts. In addition to all of these goals, I would like to create a community of Chinese language learners. And also, it seems like from the folks I'm connecting with on Twitter and Tumblr and Instagram, that there's also a lot of teachers and developers out there creating stuff for the learners. So all of us together, that works for me. That totally works for me, because it's all sharing bits of the language to help each other reach a somewhat common goal, which is knowing how to communicate in that language. And I am so comfortable with that. So although this is coming to you through your phone or through your computer, I would love to hear from you. Comments, questions. I'm going to have burning questions in my update videos where I need to hear from you because I can't figure something out by myself. Usually a character in the wild that I can't figure out. So do chime in, whether it be on any of those social media platforms or email or in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. I'm not going to pretend to know everything I'm doing because, like I said, I'm kind of making it up. I'm experimenting as I go. And I will mistranslate a lot of stuff. I almost guarantee you that right now. I will get a lot of stuff wrong, and I don't care. We used to do this cheesy, like, vow the first day of language class, especially with the beginners, where we would have them say, you know, mistakes are good. Questions are good. You're going to fall on your face. And of course, we paraphrased it down to whatever language level they were. But you're going to fall on your face, you're going to make mistakes. The more you make, the quicker you'll get there, and the more you'll learn. And so I hope to document many mistakes that I will make, and I hope that you will too. I also would love to encourage other folks to start vlogging their experiences in learning the Chinese language. And if you know anybody who is doing that already, please leave their link in the comment below. I'd love to follow them too. I think even though we might be learning a language alone with our devices and with the internet, that I think we can develop, cultivate, expand whatever communities we have in learning it so we can learn it together separately, or learn it separately together, or both. Sure, why not? Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I hope you watch some of the other videos, and I hope they either are helpful or interesting or something to you. If you do enjoy this, or you know somebody that would, please subscribe, pass it on, tweet it, Facebook it, Tumblr it, Instagram it. That's as far as I've stretched so far, so if there's anything I haven't mentioned, do that too. But mostly, enjoy learning languages, enjoy communicating, enjoy sharing information and ideas, enjoy spreading joy through language. Language is meant to communicate. Let's communicate. Thank you so much. See you next time.